Stephen Mansfield, New York Times bestselling author and speaker.
Doug Tenaple, I'm the creator of Earthworm Jim.
Tweet groups.
I'm Victor Dweck.
Joseph Carter, I'm the Mink Man.
This is Dave Baker from Forged in Fire.
This is Leanne Morgan. I'm a comedian, and this is why you should never
Don't
waste your time.
Oh, you really should.
listen to those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining the Reverend and Reprobate.
Welcome.
Welcome back.
Welcome to the show. Danley Expo on our airwaves, actually in person today. We're not having to fly somebody in via the miracle of Zoom and the internet.
It's so much better.
It's the wonderful, fabulous, the very funny, the very talented, the very lovely, and quite a good author, I have come to find out, even though Carrie Pomeroli won't agree with the fact that she gave me a Proverbs 31 verse in the autographed copy of her book I got. It's Miss Dorie. How are you, darling?
Great. I'm doing awesome.
Thanks for coming in studio. That's so much fun.
It is so much fun. So much more fun than Zoom. I failed Zoom, so.
Yeah, Zoom's tough,
Yeah.
right? Did you have to do any Zoom comedy during the pandemic? Or did you just refuse to do it?
I avoided it like the plague.
Yeah?
I just thought that would be so brutal. Just watching my daughter doing homeschool on Zoom, I was like, there's no way. No way.
How did she do, by the way?
We did terrible. Like
Yeah.
and I
My
say
son
we
did too.
because I was also taking homeschool. Like I definitely relearned all of it, and it was so frustrating. She was in 7th grade, and she hated it. And at one point, she actually she submitted the wrong video. And the video she submitted had her screaming at the video screen. And it was so funny. She's like, hello. I'm supposed to be doing a science project right now. And like just started screaming. She goes, this is my third freaking try or something like that. And she sent it on accident. Oh, the teacher was mad. I was like, I'm laughing about it.
I mean,
like,
she's
hilarious.
stressed.
Yeah. So she's stressed out.
My wife is finishing up her degree in psychology. And so for her foreign language, she's taking American Sign Language. And so she has to do these videos for her online classes where she's like, it's just her looking at her computer screen, and she's so expressive, and she's like, like doing all of these really big, and like I'll walk into the room and be like, what's happening? Or I'll be in the other room, and we'll have like slammed a cabinet, or the dogs will start barking, or something. She's like, burp. Like, I actually don't think you're allowed to talk on these. I think it's part of the thing. She hates it.
No, and there's just not like a cool place to have it. Like my only kind of cute place in my house is my kitchen, but it's like in the middle of my house too. So it's like, yeah, I'm either like in an ugly part of the house, or I'm like screaming at everyone like, I need 30 minutes of nothing, no one, and like go, take them somewhere, like just dog, everything will happen. And it's no fun.
Yeah, the internet is wonderful for some things, but Zoom interviews and Zoom school,
hate it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The only
Definitely
thing
necessity.
that I like about Zoom, and we don't actually use Zoom, but essentially Zoom.
Teams.
We use Teams, is working remotely is fantastic.
True.
Mm-hmm.
There are some drawbacks, it would be easier, I think, to because I have a real job. Outside of this,
I thought that was shade at me because I'm a pastor.
No.
You're like, no, I have a real job.
I'm just saying, this is not my job. I have an actual job.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
But we do everything remotely. It would be much easier at times to get together in a room and just hash it out and figure it out.
Right.
But I don't have to move around. Technically, I can have more meetings in a day because I'm not walking to different meeting rooms.
Or getting dressed the whole way. I mean, like all those things.
I got annoyed this morning because I had to interview somebody. And one of my teammates was on the phone, and we were talking. She was like, "Can you turn your video on?" I was like, "I'm not prepared for video." She said, "You're the manager. You need to go." I was like, "Fine, hold on." So I went and slicked my hair back and put on a polo.
He put on his nice wife beater, and
that is hilarious. Women have to do a lot more to get camera ready, though. I mean, you guys.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, can throw on a hat if you wanted.
To your point.
Dude,
it was a minute and a half.
Yeah,
I was good.
If I'm not camera ready, it's like give me 2 hours.
I was good from this point up.
Yeah, I mean that's it. If I have a jacket hanging in my office for if I get a call that like something happened or somebody needs, they want the pastor at the hospital or something, so I can just take it and put a blazer over a t-shirt.
Nice.
And since most of what I wear are just like black t-shirts, now all of a sudden I look like I could be somebody's pastor instead of a guy that belongs in a motorcycle gang. And so that change happens quick. That is not the way it works for women at all. You guys have a much harder road.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 3.
So I was right on that. We were
Nice.
talking earlier.
I have 3.
They're all girls?
Actually, I have a son, a 21-year-old son.
Okay.
And then I have 2 girls, 18 and 13.
I was close. I said 3 girls.
The 21-year-old was adopted. So he was adopted. They adopted him as a teenager. That's why she looks so young, having a 21-year-old son.
Thank you. Let's pretend that.
So they're all doing well. You know, you mentioned with the pandemic doing remotely, they're doing better. They're back to school now.
Yeah. So my son is 21, and he's not. He decided he's not a college student. We've learned that after one
probably
year.
good.
Yeah.
But
Neither were we.
Okay.
And look, Danley's even got a job.
Well, I appreciate him learning that after 1 year than 4 or 5 or 6.
Right.
You know. So and he's applying to be a firefighter though.
Oh,
so
awesome.
that's his and he's in the military. He's a reservist. So
Is he super buff?
he is like, it's so unfair. You know, like he'll do
Agreed.
like 2 push-ups and be like, "Hey, look at my muscles." Like it's so frustrating because
He'll do
he's
2 push-ups
really,
and take a scoop of creatine, and he's good.
I know, yeah.
He gets an
can-
ab every sit-up.
He can eat Whataburger every day and be like, fine. It's so frustrating. But yeah, so he's fit. And then my daughter is 18 and she's actually in Hawaii right now. We just dropped her off. We just came back.
You just dropped her off in Hawaii? You
Yeah.
just took the bridge right back
we
to
had
Texas?
to just drop her off because
Nice.
we didn't want her to go all alone and
Of
everything.
course not. If my son had to go to Hawaii, I would definitely go drop him off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it had nothing to do with the locale or
For sure.
anything else. It
It's
was
safety,
all,
you
yeah.
know?
I mean, she could
There's
do
a
it alone.
pandemic out there. It could be in the coconut.
Also,
Also, Dog the Bounty Hunter lives there. And
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta make sure
My
he's not
husband
around.
mentioned him when we were there as if we were going to find him. I'm like, I think he finds people. I don't
He
think
actually lives in Colorado now.
he does? Oh.
Because he was
okay.
searching for whatever that guy's name is that killed his girlfriend. That they're, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't remember any of their names, but
We'll leave that for an Investigates episode. Okay, so you just dropped your
Oh, yes,
18-year-old off in Hawaii.
Yeah, she's at a youth with a mission at the base. So, I mean, if you're going to pick a base, you might as
She's
well
doing
be
YWAM
Hawaii.
at a base.
Yes. In Hawaii. I mean, wonderful.
Brian Laundrie.
That's not where we got to go on mission trips. They were like, hey, listen, there's a half a dozen homes that just got wiped out in the southern part of Louisiana. It's going to be 115 degrees.
Right.
And we need you guys to go build roofs for them.
Oh.
Like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Sweet. That's what
the
we got to
huge.
do.
That first, yeah. So
Yeah.
she'll be there she'll be there 3 months and then she goes somewhere.
There's some
like,
stucco homes in Amarillo
probably
that,
nasty.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that are
no,
really hot for the homeowners. We need you
Dory's
to go.
daughter needs to go to Hawaii.
She does. She belongs there.
Yeah.
She's so Hawaiian. No, she's not. But and then my 13-year-old is at home with us, and she's I feel bad for the break.
So the 13-year-old still lives at home?
She lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we didn't ship her off to any other like tropical locale. You know?
That's a bummer. Yeah.
But I feel bad for the split. You know, my son and our first daughter. I mean, it's only a year and a half apart, and or 2 years apart. And then my youngest, it's like a 5-year like wait between them, and I just chickened out about it. I didn't know if I could do it. You know? So then I feel bad because she's just gonna be this only child for these awkward 5 years, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Are you really like sorry for her? Are you more upset that like you and your husband look at each other in the end of the night and you're like, I wish we would have had those others sooner because now we got to have one in the house for 5 more years. Like it could have just been 2 and y'all could have been on your own.
No, I am like heartbroken. I don't want them to leave. Like I really don't. But
That's
I
good,
do
though.
feel but I feel like I wish for her sake it feels like I'm already kind of grandparenting her. Like I'm like, oh, are we supposed to like not let you do things like she could pretty much do what she wants.
You're a good mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I recently had a conversation with my son. I was like, I think at some point, like when I retire, I'd like to get an RV and drive around. And he was like, oh, yeah. It's like, yeah, we will go here, all these places. And I was like, it's not.
No, it's not with you.
You're not hearing me.
You're not going to be there. I need to go to a place with your mom and not you.
Right.
Yeah, you need to stay home and take care of the dogs.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, we had you on the show because we wanted to know some stuff about you. We got some questions about comedy. We've got a list of things that we've discovered about you, which we think are very fascinating, especially in relation to some of the other guests we've had on. But I first want to know, how did you get started in comedy? And as a Christian comedian, how is that? Was that something that you set out to be as a Christian comedian, or is that something that just kind of happened over time where you realized that your faith was kind of going to be the grounding point of your comedy?
Great question.
Thank you.
So in
One great question.
you're keeping track. 2006 actually was my first ever I guess booking or event or whatever. And I did not set out to even be a comedian. It's funny because I wasn't really allowed to watch a lot of things growing up, and comedy because it was usually not appropriate, especially for kids.
George Carlin.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor.
Right, none of those things.
Eddie Murphy. All the people we like snuck out to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah.
I couldn't watch any of those. Like, I didn't even know it existed.
Adam
to be honest
Sandler
with
and
you.
that idiot.
No.
Will
Yeah.
Ferrell.
Yeah.
That's so mean. I love Will.
I do too.
Everybody
Yes.
but my mom thinks he's great.
Yeah, Elf is my favorite. Okay, but so I couldn't even watch comedy. I didn't know it existed really until later in my life. But so I liked. This is gonna really date me, so you don't know. I mean, now you'll know how really old I am. But Patsy Claremont, she is a Christian comedian. She's not a comedian. She's a speaker and writer. But my mom used to have a cassette tape of her speaking, and she was hilarious. And we used to play it over and over again. And she's she just became like my little kind of weird hero. Like, oh my goodness, like if I could do that, and hear the laughter and the what she brought to women. And so anyway, I didn't know that was though. I wasn't like, yes, I'm gonna do that. I just put that in the back of my head. But so then fast forward to 2006, I was at a women's conference, and I'm a Christian, and I had gone to the, just was praying or whatever. And I felt like I was like, hey, when are you going to do that speaking thing that I thought, I told you about a long time ago? And I was like, well, God, I can't just walk up onto stage and just start talking. Like, people get arrested for that. And so I was like, you have to be asked, it's a thing here. And and I felt like he was like, hey, just say yes the next time you're asked, And I talked to God like I'm like, I don't hear audible voices or, anyway, I'm just, having this little mini conversation.
God wasn't like, don't worry, I'll send Aaron to help you.
He'll come and speak for you.
Hold up your staff. So I was like, sure. And in my head, I thought, I'm off the hook. Like, no one is going to ask me, randomly. I was doing some kids ministry stuff at the time, but I'm like, no one's going to ask me to come up on stage and speak. And because I was kind of terrified, actually, about it. And so the next day, I was at the same retreat because we were leaving that day, and my women's ministry director comes over to me and says, hey, Dorie, I heard you had these ladies, all your friends, up laughing last night. I want you to be the entertainment speaker at our next women's event. And I was like, I said, I'll pray about it, which is Christian for no.
Yeah. It's a hard, maybe a soft no.
I'm going to adopt that because I'm very non-committal. He loves bringing it up.
Yes.
I'm going to start using that more.
I'll pray about it.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. And you get out of
it. And he'll go, freaking jerk.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
No, that's really.
So you would pray about it.
I said, I'll pray about it. And I had forgotten, from the night before that I was supposed to say yes. It wasn't even I wasn't in rebellion. I just forgot. And the next, I was on the way home and I went, oh my gosh, I was supposed to say yes to that. I don't even know what an entertainment speaker is, but I was supposed to say yes. So I called her right away and said, hey, I was supposed to say yes. I don't know what you're talking about, but, And what's crazy was she said, I want you to do 30 minutes. And because I had zero, introduction to the comedy world, didn't know you don't start with 30 minutes. You start with 3 minutes or maybe, 2 minutes and
or
work
a tight
your way
5.
up. I know none of the rules. I didn't know. And so I was like, okay, I'll do 30 minutes. And luckily it was 6 months out. And so I started out just having a notepad near my bed or with me all the time. And if I thought of something funny, I just wrote it down. And there were times I actually woke up laughing about something and write it down. And I thought God was just so merciful to me because he was like, here's your act. You're not going to get it on your own. You need an act. And luckily it went well because I knew if it had not, it would have been the end of the road for sure. Because I would have been like, I'm never doing that again, So it actually went really well. And I started by just word of mouth, just other events would come up. And then I made a crappy website myself. And then eventually I have a website that looks good because somebody else did it.
Very presentable.
Somebody else did it. But for years I did it myself and it looked terrible. But
as long as it had your contact info, that's what mattered.
You would think that, but I definitely, it was worse than I should not have touched it. But
was it better than Dunder Mifflin's website?
I don't know.
Or
actually,
GeoCities. Do you remember the GeoCities websites?
No.
Oh, they were terrible.
Dunder Mifflin's was just said under construction.
Oh, Oh,
yeah,
I
that's
forgot
right.
That was the joke
that,
in
and
the
I'm a big
office.
fan. Okay,
Yep.
wow, I did not remember that. My daughter would be so unproud of me for that. So I did not remember that. She loves The Office. We love The Office.
I like the use of unproud instead of embarrassed.
Yeah.
Unproud.
Should have been unproud of me. I think my wife calls that neutral. She's just typically unproud of me. And then that gear can shift one way or the other, but this is neutral for her is
That's terrible.
unproud.
Oh no, I do not want to coin that word. That's terrible.
I'm taking it home tonight.
Awesome.
Hey, so you look very unproud of me. What is that supposed to mean? Just regular. You look regular. You're beautiful, but you look very regular.
Yeah. Why are you signing?
Yeah. Unproud.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what the whatever the sign
Why are
for
you signing
unproud
with one
is.
finger?
That's going to be what my name is in
That was
in
mine.
sign language. It'll be unproud.
But
That's
this
impressive.
This
Sign
picture,
language impresses me, by the way. Just side note, sign language. When I see people even like at church sign language, I'm like, I can't even like my own notes are all like nothing. Like I have like big blank spaces where I don't remember what they just said.
Right.
And I'm like, she's listening to like what they're saying, then translating it for these people, and then also listening to what's happening in the background. I'm like, that is genius, like genius level.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We were watching. I think the lady was signing for Eminem, the rapper.
and she's like,
So yeah,
I don't know how to do
she's
was
like
good, though.
she took his he gave her his set list before he went on tour, and she had like 3 months to figure out all the signs, and she is like working up a sweat.
Oh, I
And
bet.
so there's two ladies that go on the tour with a lot of hip hop artists as their signers, and a lot of times they have to swap out because if there's a song where they're just like going at it and rapping really fast, that they'll have to take a break the next one. But we watched several of those videos whenever Kirsten started doing sign language, and it was absolutely insane.
It's insane. No, that is genius level. Like I could
Yeah.
not even imagine. Like
It's
I would
crazy.
start like summing up. Like I would just have my own sermon version. Like something about the gospel. Like I would just be like, I forgot. I'm sorry. I was thinking about something else.
Just start doing the hand motions to Lord, I lift your name on high.
There actually was in the news a couple years ago. There was a famous incident of, I think it was in Florida,
Okay.
of a fake interpreter, like for a government official.
Oh my gosh.
And she was just signing complete nonsense. I'll find the video and we'll throw it up.
Oh
Okay,
no,
that's
that's
brilliant.
awesome.
But she got fired.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so
sorry.
so
Yeah,
you get your first set, you say yes to this gig.
Yeah.
How did that 30 minutes go?
It went insanely well. I couldn't believe it.
just killed it.
I don't know how that killed, but it I've definitely had bombs since then. Like that,
Right.
thank God that wasn't one of them. I'm telling you, because it would have been the end for sure
Yeah.
for me. But it went really well. I loved doing it. I just love like laughter in general. I loved bringing joy to people, and that was just like it was a high. I mean, you know how comedians talk about the high of being on stage, and it's like it is like nothing else that
Yeah.
you can really do. And I just got the bug for it and just wanted to do it again.
wanna do
And
that
but I'm
so
terrified every time. Like I'm like I've been doing now 15 years, and I'm like, I just had a booking this Friday night, and I was like, I'm gonna be sick. Like, why am I gonna be sick? But then as soon as you get off stage, you're like, I'm gonna do it again. I mean, it is the weirdest roller coaster ride of, and I have thin skin, and I'm like, this is the worst profession for someone who just cannot
yeah.
take an insult to save my life. Like, I think social media scares me more than the stage, though. So I'm like, I do stuff, but it's like, I don't read the comments. I'm like, I can't even.
Hearing you've been a guest on Michael Jr.'s podcast a
Yeah.
few times, and we were talking a little bit off air about how that's kind of been for you. But for you to be somebody who is self-proclaimed thin-skinned, you roll with the punches pretty well on that show and with the other comedians and guys that are on there. So
I cry after. No, just kidding.
same. That's what I do after our live streams every week at church. Like, hey, I'm so bad. All right, so that was 15 years ago,
Yep.
and after that first 30 minutes, you knew comedy was going to be your thing.
I didn't know it was like going to be a job. Like it was going to
Okay.
be something I got to do a lot. I just thought, I want to do that again. I want to do that again. And then I got pregnant with my third daughter, and I was like, I think I did one set really big pregnant. Like I did it through pregnancy, but I was like, this is awkward. Like this, nobody wants to see me up here like this. I don't know. It just looked wrong, and I didn't mention it, which I think I should have.
You're just up there holding your back and
Just pretending like it's
People
not
were
happening.
Nervous, like, is she gonna say anything? Like,
there's a
That's kind of
there's a
brilliant,
special
though.
that Christina Pazitsky.
Okay.
She's married to Tom Segura, and she's super pregnant.
oh my goodness.
It's I mean, she's very funny just anyways, but her being humongous was funnier.
Well, you think I would say something about it, like just
And
joke
she
about
did.
it a little.
She-
I'm saying anyone else would have. I just was like acted as if I wasn't.
Well,
Like,
I think that's kind of genius in its own right, because there's something
Just
to
never-
like addressing the
never acknowledge
elephant
it.
in the room,
Right.
and then there's another like completely funny piece about not doing, because now everybody at the end was like, okay, so was she pregnant? Is that just, was it a suit, or is she just
Right,
been
was it?
carb loading the last few weeks?
oh, it was funny. I don't know.
That's awesome. So did you, I guess, how long after the first gig was the second one? Was it something that came about really quickly?
It did actually. Like I had like, I mean, I had young children, even though
Right.
I mean I didn't have the third one yet. The other two were kind of crazy children, and so they were young, and so I didn't want to be on the road all the time. I wasn't like a roadie. I mean, not roadie, but I mean I wasn't constantly on the road or something. But I think people just talked, and like I think I was at another one in a month later, or like weeks later, and I would just do it was more periodic, but it
Right.
was definitely something I was doing routinely enough that I was like, this could be something that I do, like that I enjoy.
Did you take any like writing classes or improv classes or anything to?
I was into theater all growing up, like high school and stuff, theater stuff. I did in college. I did like a Saturday Night Live type event that I actually emceed, and
Groundlings
so didn't
or
see
something.
any of this as being like possible that I would do again. Like I just thought this is my college thing I did, and I didn't connect the dots at all. Like my family was like, "Of course you are." Like this makes total sense, and I'm like, I did not see this coming at all. Like everyone knew before me.
Is it possible for for someone to be a comedian and be lazy?
I'm lazy. I
Okay.
am. No, seriously.
Because
It
something
is.
that I want to do, but I don't want to go take classes.
I didn't take. I did take an online course
And I
back when
shouldn't say
before
that,
it was
but it's
even a
kinda
thing.
true.
I took one online course.
So here's
Here
the
we
thing.
go.
Any,
Here we
anything
go.
that requires like more than the amount of effort to make somebody unproud is more effort than Danley's willing to put into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do it. I really want to do stand up.
Yeah.
I would
you
really like to do
should.
it.
It's not.
I don't want to go
I
bomb.
am lazy.
And I'd be okay with bombing as long as I had some material. And I don't know if it's ADHD, but I just forget stuff all the time.
Oh, I'm ADHD big time.
But
Yeah.
so you did say that you have bombed,
Yeah.
right? Your first time
Like, it's
going out,
inevitable.
you killed it. How long between that first time and your first bomb? And what was that like? Did that shake you after having so much success right off the
Right.
bat?
I think my first. I mean, I this is the problem. Because I'm in such a small. Is it niche or niche? I don't know.
Yeah, one of those words
One
for
of
sure.
those two. I'm a female Christian comedian. Like, there's just not that many, especially back in 15 years ago. I
Right.
mean, I was one of the only, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't,
Yeah, I think
there
probably.
wasn't very many.
Yeah, Carrie Pomeroli might have been
Yes.
one of the
She was-
only
yep.
other ones.
I opened for her back in the day, like back then. Like,
Yeah.
She is
early
our
on.
best friend.
Yeah,
love
Carrie,
her.
Shonda Pierce would have been one of the other ones that was
Yes.
around then. But you are looking that you were
Very
like one of like
few.
3 or 4.
Right. And,
yeah.
and honestly, the price jump from me to Shonda Pierce would have
Oh,
been
it's
at that
huge.
time humongous. You know, so
Yeah.
I was like hot item because of that, you know, because I was cheap, and I was, you know, and
Same.
But I ended up, so I was like at one that had like 1,000 people in the audience, way too soon. Like I was not ready for that, and they had some. I mean, there were some. So I would say it was within the year, my first year.
Oh, wow.
I was in front of an audience of 1,000 people, and I'm like,
That's
I
awesome.
really should not be here. Like, you know, I should be in a little tiny comic, like, you know.
Like an open mic.
Yes,
or
I should
or
not
a featured.
be right. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I really didn't, and I so I was in front of this big crowd, and unfortunately, the venue was really bad. Like it was for a trade show.
Oh,
so
that's
it had
brutal.
poles, like 1,000 poles. Like I'm like, is this a pole per person? Like there's so many poles in this room, and the echo was so severe that no one really could hear.
What do you have against the polls?
When you can't,
She's
you're
German.
like, hey, I mean, it was just like, you're maneuvering. Like, how do you? I mean, no one could see. It was terrible. So like looking back, I don't know even now if I could have killed at that event,
Right.
But it was a lot to bomb in front of that many people. I just remember like the sweat. I mean, I was like sweating. I was
Is it hot in here?
I was miserable up there. I mean, it was miserable, and I thought, you just do your time. It doesn't matter if it's bad. So I did 45 minutes.
Ooh, what a
in
trooper!
Front of 1,000 people bombing. It was
Oh,
the
man.
worst 45 minutes of my life, and I just wanted to die. I mean, I just But what's funny is like I literally walked off the stage, and usually like anything else I do in life, I will beat the crap out of myself. I'll be like, oh, you stink at that or whatever. For some reason that day, I was like, well, if that room was better. I have no idea where that confidence came from. I'm like, it was Jesus, because
It's not me. It was the polls.
it was the pole. And I mean, still to this day, I'm like, it didn't shake me. I don't know why. That should have totally shut me down. In any other area of my life, I would have been like, never again. But that, for some reason, I was like, well, it could.
There are some amazing stories of bombing stories. Patton Oswalt has one that's fantastic, where he was telling. He got paid to go to Vegas, and it was for a VIP group, and essentially just fast forwarding, everyone was completely beyond hammered.
Oh,
They were the whales,
Yeah.
And he went on stage and started doing his bit, and they just started yelling. I think it was Ratatouille at him, whatever his character was, and they just yelled that. And then he got paid and went home. And they were like, oh no, we're bringing you back. Like they were so happy. And he was like, they just yelled at me the whole time.
For like 7 minutes.
Yeah,
and
but
then
they
he was
paid
gone.
him like whatever it was, $10,000 or some
A
insane
ridiculous
amount.
amount of money.
Goodness.
But what are a couple of the interesting places that you've performed at?
Well, immediately comes to mind is a Chick-fil-A drive-through.
That's what I was thinking.
Wait, what?
I know. Well, it was a church that was doing this event, and it was kind of innovative. They were doing this event right outside the Chick-fil-A.
Here's your bag. Tell him a joke.
Oh, it was horrible.
Kind of innovative.
Well, they actually.
You're trying to show so much grace to this church.
I know. And I'm not even naming them. I'm like, yeah, they're innovative. So they had a stage kind of set up like outside of this drive-through, and I love Chick-fil-A, so I was like, well, okay. And
Do you just restart your bit every time or your whole set? There's a new car.
I don't even know if anyone in the drive-thru could hear us because there was this stage, and this was what's crazy. Horrible idea. I mean, the mixture was horrible.
Hold on. There's a stage.
They set up a stage
So
right
you're not,
outside
like-
the drive-thru. Like,
Okay, when
right
you said
there.
you were doing comedy like in the drive-thru, I thought they were like giving you a headset so that you could, because like that's what I did at Starbucks, right? People would come up and I would like try to tell them a joke or something, and they would get angry because they didn't have their coffee yet, and swing around and apologize and tip us well, and then go.
Wow.
So I thought maybe that was what like
No, I was on a stage.
on a
in the
stage at a
drive-thru.
Chick-fil-A drive-thru.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
And so they had this thing, and you
Oh
should
my
try. This is a
gosh.
funny idea.
I'm not going to try this.
So they would. Okay, so the kids pastor was raising money, and so what he did was they had a hydraulic. What's the thing?
It was
Hydraulic.
it was Preston Wood,
thing,
wasn't
and
it?
they pushed him up in the air, and he lived up there until they raised the money.
What?
Yeah. Yes, he had to live up there. I guess he could come down for a bathroom.
So this
I don't
was
know,
like,
but
what's that magician? David Blaine. This sounds like a David Blaine thing.
oh, I don't know him. Sorry.
Well, he does extreme, like he'll live in a fish tank for
like a
week.
month, yeah.
or
Well,
This
something.
was their kids pastor lived on the hydraulic, like up
For
there.
how long?
Like,
Do you know?
It was days at least. I mean, I don't know if it was weeks. I know it was at
You
least
should do
days.
that.
So here,
Not a chance.
so the whole time, not only am I like my audience is driving by me, but also the sound of the hydraulic was just like deafening. So you're just like yelling your jokes. I mean, it was just terrible. And then there were a couple other comedians doing it, and it was so funny because usually I I don't like feedback anyway. Like, I seriously don't. Like, my mom is my only person. I'm like, yeah, you can tell me, because that's the only feedback I've ever gotten.
Sure.
So I'm like, I really don't want to hear anything bad. I'm like, I don't care, really. I'm going to probably not listen to you anyway. Not you guys. I mean, if you had
Oh,
feedback.
yeah, for sure.
But I mean, like, just somebody I don't know. I just don't need,
We'll
like,
take notes and give them we'll give you a few notes at the end of the show, yeah.
But this guy, I don't know his name, honestly. I don't remember him. But he afterwards was like, hey, like, your set was like, like, not so good. And I'm like, did you think you were going to kill it out there with the Chick-fil-A line? I was like, how could you even tell? Like, I'm
He's
like,
getting the kale. Like, what jokes do you...
it was horrible.
So one of the things I've really loved about your comedy since we've kind of gotten into you over the last several weeks is that you're very funny in your storytelling, but you're also very funny situationally. Like, you have a great way to respond to things. You're really quick on your feet. You're very witty, and I love that in comedians.
Thank you.
Where did that part come into play when you were on the stage in this Chick-fil-A drive-thru? Like, were you trying to stick to your set, or were you like making fun of people as they came through?
Honestly, I wish I could say I was making fun of people, because it was bad. Like, I wasn't like that early in comedy at that point, but I wasn't like prepared for that. I did not picture it the way they told me.
No,
so when I got there, I was
didn't
like,
either. You're telling us the story.
What is going on here? Like, I just couldn't. So I did not do a good job. Like, I just plowed through it. Like, it was
how can you
bad.
know whether or not you did a good job just because this one?
Well, that's why I was like, the one time,
the one spare guy gives you notes. Hey, that wasn't a great set. Okay, thanks.
Wow, I was like, what? Like, I'm like, come to a regular show. Like, I will. You can. Even then, I don't want to hear it. Tell me, but at the same time, I'm like, you really would judge my set on this show? Like, I wouldn't even, throw out a joke if it was like, oh, it didn't do well at the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. I would be like, yeah, it wasn't gonna. I could have my best ever, and it would not. Yeah, so I don't know why he
didn't really kill with this one at the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Like, that would be enough to get me to laugh about whatever it is you were saying.
Oh, it was so fun.
That is a pretty epic story. I cannot believe that he was on a hydraulic lift.
I know. It was just.
It was Prestonwood, wasn't it?
No. We had like a
We're
bed
sorry,
up
Dr.
there.
Graham. He didn't mean that.
He had a bed.
I was just speculating.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was Thor Ramsey's Church from Church People. That's what it was.
Yeah. It does sound like that.
It does. So comedy in the Chick-fil-A drive-thru.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like an absolute hell gig.
It was.
So there's a guy that we've had on the show a couple of times named David Baker, and he is a historic weapons recreation specialist. And he's got he's on a show called Forged in Fire on the History Channel. His lovely girlfriend Karen is studying silversmithing, which is something that you have an incredible amount of experience with. So, talk to us about the silversmithing comedian. First off, what is silversmithing, and second, how do you make that transition?
I truly don't know. He does, because he's into
Oh my gosh, that is
reading
cool
hilarious.
things.
Reading. Okay, so I'm using that term loosely in this case. Okay, so I don't know what happens, but it happens probably every few months that I'm like, I know how I can make money. Like, I don't know why I don't see this as like, I should focus on my comedy and make more money or in a way that is like my calling or what I want to do.
Right. You make more money with goldsmithing.
I don't know. Yeah. See, honestly.
Yeah, but there's more investment.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Okay. This is what happened. I'm like, every once in a while, I'm like, you know what I could do?
Print cash.
I could make things. And I can't make things. Like, I can't make pretty things with my hands. Like, I can't do it. Like, I just have to know that. Like, going forward, I have to have it written out somewhere. You don't make things. Like, but I was like, you know what? And like it happened because I wanted to have merch at my table. And I was like, instead of buying merch, it always starts out like, I should get some merch. Right. Then I go, oh, that's expensive. I could make that. For cheaper. And I get stupid ideas like that. And I'm like, I want to make jewelry. Like, instead of just buying jewelry and just upping the price and putting it out there, I'm like, I will make it myself.
You get an anvil.
Yes. No, I did. I bought
a forge.
An anvil.
What?
I bought, there's like this, I think it's called, maybe it's not called an anvil. I think I'm getting confused. See, I'm not a very good silversmith.
It doesn't matter. We're calling it an anvil.
Okay, we're calling it an anvil. It's like
It's something hard that you beat things on.
Yeah, so it's
anvil.
A metal block. Yes.
It's an anvil.
And I got a bunch of silver, like way too much silver.
You're hoarding it like a dragon.
And then I had to like I was putting words on it. It was that big phase, that big.
Yeah.
With the beat, like the words are like
True love waits.
Yes, all the hammered.
Like leather
it's hammered.
stamping, but with silver.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I bought
See,
the
I
letter
read.
set. See,
You just because you went to the jazz festival doesn't mean that you just saw a lady do it.
she was silversmithing. That was what she was doing. So I thought I bought the whole. I buy all the things. That's the
Right.
problem. I buy all the things, and then I realize I'm in over my head. But then I can't like return all the things. So then I have to do the things. So I had to hold the little like letters. And you have to bang on the back of the letter, like the metal thing, to get the impression. Well, I just realized I didn't know there was a skill set involved. Like I just thought you could just do it, you know. And I have found out I can't figure out how to get two letters next to each other at all. Like there was no chance of that happening. So none of my art had like I was trying to do like names or like the word hope or name love or whatever. None of them were together. Like it was all jacked up on the thing. And so I kept ruining all this silver. And then I thought this is also the worst idea ever. I had a baby. Like she was like maybe 1 or 2, still napping.
Right.
And I was like, why am I like, like what's the worst timing ever to be a silversmith? I'm like, when she naps, that's when I'll work on it. Like, bang, just the whole time.
So I have 2 thoughts.
Okay.
Start with the second thought.
The second thought is
Otherwise, he'll forget it.
maybe my dad should have cut my mom some slack when she bought into the Beanie Baby thing.
I did too.
Not a
though.
Beanie
chance.
Babies was cheaper than silver.
Yeah.
And the second thing is
But don't tell her that.
You're kind of investing in silver, right? Isn't that what people say to do?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to hoard something, at least that's going to increase in
True.
value, right?
Yeah.
True. I wish it was.
You could just smelt it.
2
Yes.
thoughts.
That's a good
Done.
point.
Done.
But
Thank you.
they also last part about this is I didn't know that they came really sharp. Like I didn't know you have to like sand it down. Like
Oh, the silver. Yeah.
So like, and I'm lazy, so like I would only sand it so far. Like because I was like,
It's fine.
It's good, And so these necklaces were terrible. Like they would like cut into your. I made one for my mom because I'm like, well, I can't like not do this. So I'd like, well, at least I'll knock Mother's Day presents off the list, And they like cut them. Like it was horrible.
Dorie, that necklace bit me.
If you want to know what it's like to carry the one ring, try one of Dorie's silversmith pendants.
Yep.
God.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah.
This is why I'm glad, though, that my wife is like, she's not crafty at all.
And
Like,
she
my
knows
mom-
it. Does she know it?
Yeah, and
Okay,
she's not
that's
interested
good.
in it. So my mom and my sister-in-laws have like the crickets and all of that stuff, and they're like making shirts. And my mom really wanted my wife to craft, and so she came over and she sat down with her, and they folded a book. And so when you open the book up, it's like this big heart, and it's a very sweet thing. So we went over there, we spent some time with them. I went and hung out with my dad, my mom, and my new wife. We'd been married for like 60 days at the time. So we're driving home, and I'm like, oh, did you have fun? And she's like, yeah, I had a good time hanging out with your mom. I was like, oh, let me see your thing that you made. I was like, well, what do you want to do with this? She's like, I don't care, burn it. I hate crafting. I was like, okay, perfect. Yeah, so I never have that. I never look over at her. I'm the one of us that comes up with the schemes of like, well, if we did this, we could make money. And she's like, no, you won't follow through with it. Why don't you just get back in your lane?
Oh,
I go,
my
yes, ma'am.
gosh.
That's awesome.
My husband believes in me too much. I'm like, stop believing. Like,
Oh, no,
it's
my
not
wife is
good.
unproud of me. So
Stop believing.
Just stop believing.
Yeah.
No, I literally just recently, like, I don't learn my lesson at all. Like, I still have this bag of silver. But I still, because I think that it still has potential. Like if I get rid of it, then I failed truly.
Right.
But until I've gotten rid of it, it's got potential for me. But
You should make one big thing and just be done with it.
I know, because then I could say like, yes, check.
Make a
I did
weapon.
It. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Give
Like,
it to
I
your
could-
daughter. She can take it out on dates when she gets old enough.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And it'll
She
kill
would use it,
vampires.
too. Oh.
And like, where is that?
Huh?
Where is
Vampires
that?
and werewolves.
Oh, that's
yeah,
true.
that's
Silver.
true. Yeah, thanks, Nadia. Where is
Nadia.
that line between like perseverance and failure? Like, where does that come? Where you look at something and you're like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to push through, and having a long career, or being like, you know what? I'm just not good at this. Like, where does that line hit?
I don't know where
Hoarding.
it is. That's my problem. That
Hoarding.
is my
Whenever it's
problem.
considered hoarding.
Oh, that's true.
If you have a small bag of silver, I think that's great. If
Okay.
you have a room full of silver, unless you're really rich, it's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't have a room full of silver. So far, I've not hit that line yet, which means I'm still going to persevere towards my.
If you're tripping over silver, if you're rich, great.
If you're tripping over silver, call us. We will help. We just started our new silver removal company right here. The Rev and the Reprobate remove silver. Danley, what is it that you've got over there?
Yeah.
With the nice soft yellows and pinks.
We have Dorie's book. I don't know where I can show this. And actually, your picture, I was going to say, is on the website. And this is what the website looks like. It looks,
yes.
You mentioned earlier, it looks like it's a great website.
Thank you.
If you like
Lots
websites.
of fun, right.
Do you like websites?
I love websites. Dorie thinks that the internet is dumb.
Oh, my
but
God.
So this is Hope Looks Good on You, by the way, which you can get at DorieComedy.com. Is that correct? Amazon?
Amazon, probably more.
Go to Amazon.
Yeah.
Because I don't like shipping things. I'm lazy. No, just
I don't
kidding.
know.
They can get a 3-chapter sneak peek at DorieComedy.com. So
oh, nice.
And
And
they
then
can
go
join
to
my blog.
Amazon.com/DorieComedy.
So
That's not the right
so
one.
this is a devotional book.
yes.
How does I've always wondered this.
Okay.
So we've interviewed a lot of authors that have like this big thought, and then they extrapolate it into tiny little thoughts throughout the course of the chapters of these big books that they're trying to bring people alongside them in thinking a certain way or a certain realization that they've come to. With the devotional book, you're kind of leading everybody through like some particular thought every day on every page or every page and a half of what you're doing. What was that like as a challenge to like take a thought, extrapolate it out over a short thing in order that it creates a big enough impact where it changes a person's day whenever they read it? What was that challenge like?
Oh, that's good. Another good question. Bing,
Number two.
I would say
I'm at 0.
I'm kind of too ADHD to write a whole book of like one thought like that. I really do think like in stories and in chunks, and I think that's how also people can digest information too. Like I think that Jesus used parables. He was very practical with stories, and I just think that it is. I mean, I would just write the story out, like the funny story, and then I'd say, all right, I need you to give me something on this particular thing. Sometimes the story itself was something that God used in my life to bring out that like spiritual principle or whatever, but sometimes it had nothing, like I was not like in that moment thinking about this Bible verse or anything like that. It was just sort of like, hey, this story kind of teaches this lesson about different things. But I think that to me that's how people can kind of digest it and get something from it. And I really want, as I like the journal prompts, some of them are draw something, because it's just a way to connect to the material, so you're not like I don't know, when I just read, sometimes it's like, it just goes off and stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But if you can connect with it in some like physical way, it's like.
I know you're saying, actually, our friends at Tatooine Sons, they have a saying. You may have to help me with it, but the myths are, or we believe that they really connect with Star Wars, but that there are themes throughout it that are the myths of our time that do relate to universal truths about God and some of that. I'm paraphrasing, but stories are a great way to communicate a truth. So I'm with you. That sounds cool.
Yeah, that's how I learn too. Like I'm just not. I don't know, if somebody just comes at me like, I've read a lot of devotional books. I don't read a lot of books, and that's why I think it's funny how many friends of mine came out of the woodwork when I published the book, because they're like, "What did you do? Because you don't read, and like." If you can do it, I can do it, because you're really ADHD. And
What a
there's
bunch
no
of
way.
punks. If you can do it, I can do
Well,
it.
they
No, you
didn't
can't.
say
You go
that.
be funny in front of 1,000 people in 4,500
Oh,
polls.
thank you.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. You go do the Chick-fil-A gig and talk to me about it. If I can do it, you can
That's
do
great.
it.
Well, I don't think they didn't say it out loud, but I knew they were thinking it. I knew
Right.
they were like,
Yeah.
if Dorie can do it, what'd
Yeah.
you do? What?
That's how Danley is when I get something off like the top shelf. He's like, "Oh, if Lucas can get that, I can totally reach whatever that is. Here, give it to me. Let me show you how much easier this is to be." Yeah.
That is hilarious.
So, what's your favorite story from the book that you get to tell, or maybe if it's not your favorite story, what's your favorite principle that you hone in on in the book?
Oh, that's a good question. Also, 3.
Still 0.
Well, what's funny? It's called Hope Looks Good on You, which it's actually not like about hope. It's just that in that time I was writing it, which was 2020, which is actually like I was, didn't have a lot of other excuses left why I would write this book.
It was a weird time.
Because I didn't have, events. I didn't have, the things that would normally be keeping me busy. And I was like, this is the time. But I had kind of a bad attitude. Like not the very beginning. The very beginning was kind of fun. We're all home together, having fun, snuggling. And then it just got real ugly for me. And I just was like, this is not, great with me. And so I kind of became hope bankrupt. Like I just really went downhill with it. And I just, because your identity is kind of wrapped up in like doing events and doing these things. And I just thought, Lord, I don't know what you want from me anymore, and I just became like, I didn't want to be on social media because I didn't want to be a negative influence, and I didn't want to be negatively influenced either. So I just kind of like stood away. And then I thought, what am I doing? I'm not contributing anything either. I'm just sort of like living in this fog. And I felt like the Lord was like, hey, just like the speaking thing at the women's conference, he was like, hey, when are you going to write that book I put on your heart? And I was like, like, not now. This is so mean, and he's like,
Tiger King is on.
Honestly, we watched, oh my goodness. I could only get so far that I'm like, my mom was in my head, like, what are you watching? I'm just kidding. But I really did feel like, okay, I need to stop with this pity party. And I felt like the Lord showed me that hope was something that nothing could take hope away from me if I chose it. Nothing can, no, outside force, no pandemic, nothing. And then I always thought of hope as like this, unrealistic optimism. Like, I hope it works out, or get my hopes up. And I didn't realize how much I wasn't getting my hopes up about life in general. I would always worry that the other shoe was going to fall. I would never enjoy anything. And how hopeless I was living even before the pandemic. I really realized that I was living like definitely glass half full. I always thought I was optimistic, but I guess I was more of a pessimistic because I was just like, something bad could happen from this. And
I'm that way too. I look for everything to go wrong.
Wow, why
and I
do you
end up
do
being
that?
right about a lot of things.
It's the worst.
But it sucks.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I'm a realist, and I think that I found a meme that described this like the best I've ever seen. It's 3 cups that have like yellow liquid, and one of the cups is like, I'm half empty, and the other one says, I'm half full, and the realist cup is like, I think we're urine cups. And so like I feel like that I'm that guy.
Oh my God.
Like, I don't care if we're half full or half empty. I think we need to be washed.
That's awesome.
So you found yourself in this place where you needed some hope.
Yes.
In the midst of it, and the Lord was finally pushing on you. I said the Lord was finally pushing on you. You were finally receptive to the, hey, I put this book on your heart so that you can inspire all your other friends. Look,
take
Dorie
a super
did it.
cute picture.
Yeah.
Write a book of devotions.
Yes.
And put it on Amazon because you don't want to do the shipping.
Oh, no, for real.
There you go. God, the Lord provides.
Yes, he does. Yes, for sure. Oh my gosh.
Through Jeff Bezos?
Yeah.
Is that
I know.
essentially,
I had a
there's the
love-hate
avenue.
relationship with him for a while, but actually, I love him because all my stuff comes from Amazon. It's horrible.
Yeah. True.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a little much.
So then, if hope's not the base principle, or if it was kind of what it came out of for you, what do you want to see people get out of this devotional book? Like, if you read it cover to cover, your goal is to impart, what onto that person that does read it and goes through the entire plan.
Right. Well, I think that I kind of was going around in a circle, but what I was thinking was that it
there's a lot of rabbits in here for us to chase. So we're all good.
When I talked to some, the people that were pre-reading it and also reading it, I thought, should I have not used that title? And they're like, it's actually hope is a theme throughout the whole book, and it's just like there's a joy and a hope that and there's 21 devotionals in there, which I guess 21 is a magic number when it comes to forming habits. I don't know if that's really
you can drink.
Is it? Wait, you can.
At 21?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I was like, wait, what?
Just forget it.
Danley just bombed in a room full of 2 with 0 poles.
Oh no, that's hilarious. That's a pole right there.
Yeah,
you
it's
got
true.
one
There
pole.
is a
That's
One
more of a pillar. It's more of a
And you
pillar.
know what? It was the poll's fault.
It was the pole's
Yes,
fault. Yeah.
you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
I feel great.
Yeah, good.
Your cardigan.
So 21 is a great
21
number.
days to form a habit of hope, and I feel like if people were able to each day start their day with something that is brings them hope and joy in their life, like a funny story, a biblical truth, this journal prompt where they can write something, or draw a picture of something that helps them cement the truth in their heart. I think that's my hope. That's my hope.
Hey,
yeah, see what I did
nice.
there?
Yeah, no, that's great. We actually, kind of sticking with the theme of hope. That's why we started this podcast. Hey,
Yeah.
like I said, he
Love
tricked
it.
me into joining the church through the podcast.
Perfect.
Everybody's got to
but
have a
it-
strategy.
But it was in
Yes.
2020 as well. It was
Yes.
very dark.
Right.
There was depression for me, and I still deal with some of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
frankly. But coming here and hanging out is kind of the hope of each week. It's kind of the highlight of I do get to do something fun, and one of my favorites has been getting to meet comedians.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And somehow we found ourselves getting to know all of the comedians in Nashville and some in LA, and we have not met anyone in Dallas. So I'm glad to meet you, the first comedian in Dallas. That we kind of had this conversation. We need to meet people around here and find out where they're going. Are there, so in the, we're still kind of in the pandemic, things are opened back up in Texas, but where do you find yourself, or where are some opportunities for comedians here locally at DFW is what I'm talking about?
It's it's hard because I don't really go to a lot of clubs and stuff because I don't know. I've gone to some and they're great. Honestly, I don't know why I don't do it more often. My husband's always like, why don't we do this more often? I don't know, but
there's like the Improv, and then there's the Hyenas.
Yes.
Are there any more you're aware of off the top of your head?
Backdoor Comedy is awesome.
Where is that?
Backdoor Comedy is in I think it's a DoubleTree Hotel. And the owners, I think, are Christian
That's
comedians, and they're incredible. And they've been there. It's actually the longest running. I just read an article about them. Longest running comedy room in the DFW area.
That's cool.
And they're
is
awesome. And they
awesome.
actually, when my husband and I went there one time, I was just kind of checking it out, so I didn't go on stage. But they had an open mic, and they have some really good, basically rules to keep the room clean. And so it's a nice place to go because you're not gonna get just bombarded with
Hecklers and
fouls.
nastiness.
Yeah, and I mean it's a lot of comedians waiting to return to go up. I mean you have to bring, so it's not I don't know, there's probably a lot of people there too that are just, but I could tell oh, that guy's working writing stuff down, so it's nerve-wracking if I was gonna go up on stage, to be in front of just a bunch of other comedians working on their act, and I'd be like, oh, they're not gonna laugh, But and I was actually, my husband and I got in a little argument at that place because I've always thought that, he has never really been a loud laugher. And so anytime I practice in front of him, he'll just smile real big, and I'm like, okay, you just don't laugh out loud. We go to this open mic.
Oh no.
And my husband
He loses it.
finds his voice and laughs louder than, it was an embarrassing laugh. I was looked at him oh, not only are you embarrassingly loud laughing right now, but you never, ever laugh like this at me. But the guy just tickled his funny button. And he went his eyes, went closed. He was crying. I was so mad. I was like, well, I guess you do laugh out loud. So
I think if it were the opposite, if a wife never laughed at her husband's jokes or something,
Oh, it would be way worse.
that's fine. But I think
that wouldn't be fine.
This is
you're nope.
yeah. Well, no. I mean, if you were to do comedy and your wife never laughed at your jokes, then that'd be fine. She'd be like, no, honey, you did fine, and you could just carry it. But the fact that it is turned around, that's
Oh yeah. I get it.
It's a little harder than you don't think I'm funny? I would immediately be like, no, you're hilarious. I just
Does that
I
equate
lived
to
it.
you don't love me?
Oh yeah. Well, I just am oh, I don't
Is
even.
laughter your love language?
I think so. I think I do like the feedback. I do
Right.
like that, because I'm well, everyone else, I thought I did okay.
Well,
but-
that would devastate me because I love making my wife laugh.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing ever, is putting a smile on her face, and I mean that seriously. I'm not serious all that often. I love making her laugh.
Yeah.
I love making people laugh, but
Right.
I mean anyone that's really
Right.
close to me. So if she never laughed, that would be devastating.
And he'll laugh, but it's just be this, we'll laugh, but it's not
It's not
I
a
was
belly laugh?
and it was for
a
the
badge
act,
of honor is making my wife pee-pee a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, that is the
So-
best.
So we had our.
I'm sorry, honey.
That's awesome.
This week, this will come out of a few weeks after this event actually happened. But we had a comedian friend of ours come in and play our church this weekend, Moody Malavi, and he was great. And he was telling fart jokes,
Oh my gosh.
which were if a fart joke can be
It was
tastefully
fart
done.
and colonoscopy jokes.
Yeah, this was tastefully
Medical
done. Right,
ones.
yeah.
So I see.
So it was very funny, but like my wife thought it was hilarious. But if I bring up, like, even if I'm talking to my 4-year-old nephew, right, and I'm like, hey, poop, and he starts laughing, I'll get hit, and she's like, grow up.
Well, there's no punchline there.
There is for the kid,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah, but she's like, no, it's not funny. But yet he's telling this stuff and cracking up.
And you're like,
so
right,
I can. There's a small amount of empathy that I can relate here.
I
where I'm
get what
watching
you're
her
saying.
crack up, and I'm like, you don't really think
I
this
get what you're
is
saying.
funny.
All of the ladies in the audience were laughing at that.
Yeah.
None of them were like,
But that's
I don't like farts.
like I could.
They were all laughing
I
hysterically.
could do that in a sermon, and they would be like, "Hey, time to fire this kid." It's done. Yeah, he told his one and only fart joke on Sunday, and now it's time for him to go.
It's over.
Yeah. So, well,
funny.
Dorie, at the end of all of our interviews, we do a segment called Controlled Rowdiness.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I've heard
good.
of it. It's
You've heard of it.
proceeded.
But we have to completely change all of our questions then.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we got some rapid fire questions for
Okay.
you. Most of these have been curated for you.
Oh, boy.
So
Okay.
there will be a few in there that are just some of our favorites. So you just answer with the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. Danley, do you want to start this one out, or are you going
No.
to give me the honors?
You're going to go first.
Fantastic. So, aliens have landed. Then
Lord.
they've taken you. You are the Earth's representative, and they give you 60 seconds to tell them a story so good that they're not going to destroy the Earth. The timer starts now.
Oh my gosh, I would cry just the whole time. The Earth is destroyed.
No,
Like,
it's
there's-
going to be destroyed.
No,
It's
I
going to
know,
be
but it's
destroyed.
going to be destroyed because I won't be able to think of anything.
I
Like
get
I will
it.
just freeze and I'll say, "I'm sorry,
You're
everyone."
going to be doing this.
I'll
like,
take-
I don't want to be the one to do it. I don't put him in the spot.
I feel like a lot pressure. No, seriously, like my husband and I already have a zombie deal where like if there's zombies, I don't want to live in it. Like I said, there's a time when you're gonna shoot me, right? Because I don't want to be in it. Like I'm like I will run to them and let them take me because I don't want to be in it.
Are you scared of
So,
a preemptive shooting you in the head and then he ends up being wrong?
No.
No, she just
No,
doesn't. She would just end
if
it.
I see the zombies, that's the cue.
But what-
I'm like,
what I'm
it's
saying
out.
is,
Be
like,
like
what if
Tina
it's-
Belcher, and you would just go right at him and give him a big hug and just hope they took you out.
Yes. No, yeah. I seriously already, I have a shark plan. If I'm ever like open water, I'm going under. Like there's just no like part
You have
of
a
me
shark
that's like,
plan?
if I'm in open sea, like I don't want to
All right,
live through
there's
that.
your 60 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry, everyone. I thought they'd like the zombie story, but not as much.
I think
Okay.
I think we're probably up there.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
they're reconsidering.
Okay, good.
Yeah. They're like, oh, she's
I-
cute, so
Yeah.
she wrote she's got a great jacket
I
on her
think they
book.
were entertained.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so they were fine.
All right, good.
But they're going to blow up another planet
Okay.
instead.
All right, cool.
Because they have to blow up something.
Elon and Mars, because there's no way Elon Musk is going to have 60 seconds to explain anything. He's going to be like, well, this one time. Yeah.
Okay, so remember, this is just rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Simple. First thing that comes to your head.
Oh, Lord.
Did we invade Iraq for the oil?
I don't even remember it. I'm sorry.
The one thing she was like, I don't want to do
I
anything
don't wanna do
political. Boom, right out of
I
the
told
gate.
you I wouldn't know anything about it.
Okay, so you said you've listened to a few episodes of our show. We had on the U.S. The person that committed the second largest heist in U.S. history, a guy named David Gant, stole $17 million, literally just packed it up into a van, drove out the front door. If you were going to commit a bank robbery, how would you do it? Because you've almost done this before.
I've almost done this. I would dress up in an all black like costume with. Well, see now it's so easy with the masks.
Sure.
I mean, I'd be like, I would just go in with like a hazmat.
They
suit.
wouldn't know
A
until-
hazmat suit and be like, there you go. No one would see me. I'd just look really, really safe and just take
You'd
it.
start coughing and everyone would run out.
Yeah. Touching them and then just say, I need all this money for me. Like, for my private island, I will go live on by myself.
Okay.
Not by myself. No,
Pri-
I will die if I'm by myself.
Private island, sunset or sunrise?
Sunset, because I sleep in. So
Okay, that makes sense.
I'd probably be asleep by the
the
time
problem is,
sunset.
but then the day's over. So sunrise, because then I can go. I like to boogie board. I almost like killed myself last week in Hawaii on my boogie board. So let me just say,
When you dropped your daughter off.
I did, yeah.
You found time to boogie board when you dropped
We
your
did.
daughter off.
we were done. And I honestly was like, I have like wave cred for a little while. Like I was like, I am not dying out here yet. Like, and then the last like day we were there, I got thrown, and I thought I was concussed. Like, seriously, I got up and I was like, I'm dizzy. I hit my head on the I came up with so much sand in my hair that like I could have just gone dreads right there, like just because it was
pre-matted.
so much matting from it. It was horrible. Anyway, sorry. I didn't. Next question. Sorry.
What is the most annoying question you get asked as a female entertainer? Either most annoying or most irritating.
I mean, I do think I get the question because I'm a church comedian more so than the girl, but that I'm kind of like, they won't say it to my face that I'm hack, but they'll be like, well, it's so much easier because you're doing women's events at churches. And I'm like, well, I have full lighting, full house lights. Have you ever done like a brunch, like a morning event with full house lights and nobody's drunk?
Yeah.
I was like, I think it's not as hack as you think it is. Like, I don't think
Can confirm.
Yeah.
We went to go see Carrie Pomeroli at a women's event. She asked us to, she invited us. And we went, and she did a great job, and everyone laughed. But I did have the thought, I was like, this is a tough room.
Oh, it's yeah. Or they'll always say
There
something
was
like,
no one warming up.
Right.
And they essentially said, hey, come out, and she's going to be funny. And she was. But yeah, there was no drinks. There was,
Yeah,
it was
and there's a weird expectation level that's set too as a Christian comedian, because everybody's line of like what is and isn't on the table is very, very, very different.
Yes.
Because there's some people that don't think that, like, we were talking about the colonoscopy jokes. They're like, no, that's too lowbrow. That's not something a Christian comic should do. Or as a female Christian comedian, I think there are some that have walked this line really, really carefully. I think Patsy, that you were talking about at the beginning, my mom loved her books. She would just like laugh out loud when she was reading her books, because she walks that line between like the honesty of being a woman and the different things and cycles that you go through life, no pun intended, but also, she walks this fine line between being honest about those things in a humorous way and not being gross about them. And everybody's line is different. And when you walk into a room that is filled with especially church ladies, right? Do you get the opportunity to kind of feel that out? Or there's some things where you do to like test the waters and you're like, okay, this joke might work here, this one might not, where there are some areas where you have to shift in that? Because a church room is a really hard room to work.
It is sometimes, for sure. I am probably the most, like, the least edgy person in the whole world. Like, I'm like, my dirty joke is about not cleaning. Like, like that is like as edgy as I get, like, so I don't have to like pivot too much with that. But there are things like I don't know, I have a toilet paper line, about how women don't like to change it, like how big the rolls have gotten over the years and how you can't even find a regular roll anymore. It's like these crazy big rolls.
You should switch to bidets.
Yeah. Well, yeah, honestly, after the pandemic, I mean, no. Okay. Anyway, but like Costco sells them anyway. I think that's so weird.
See?
Anyway, yeah.
I'm on board. I'm on the bidet train.
So that is the one thing that I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure. Like some people might think that's, I don't know. I mean, that's as edgy as it gets. But I just think that that's the only comment that I get, that people are like, oh, it's like you've got the easy crowd. I'm like, well, sometimes no, sometimes yes. I honestly.
I mean, they're there to have a good time, so that's part of it.
Right, and nice Christian ladies won't give you heckle you as much, but they do like to they do like to contribute sometimes, where they like to like talk to you, and then I'm like totally thrown. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, if I give them too much, like. If I talk to them too much, they think they're part of it. Like we're gonna do this all together.
So you destroy them right off the bat?
No, I don't. If I destroyed them, I would cry afterwards, and I'd just stand there crying. Like it would just not. It would break my heart.
Oh, that's not me at all.
Yeah. So I'm too nice. Like I know.
Well, good for you.
Yeah. But then they become part of the act if I'm not too careful. So I should learn to balance that out a little. Like you're not actually part of it, But.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we had the opportunity to have this chat and talk you through this.
Intervention time.
Okay, last question,
Yes,
at least
yes.
for me. You can have one more if you want.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Would you ever let your husband get a motorcycle?
He's talking about it, and I don't love that. I don't even like it when he bikes. Like he was like getting into cycling, and I did not like it. Like he'd be like on the road, like miles and and I'd be like, are you safe with that? Like, are you? And he'd have like the the funny pants with all the like the. I'm like, I don't think that's gonna actually
Spandex.
help you. Like, I don't know.
More streamlined.
Yeah. Yes, it's horrible. I'm like, you're not even cutting your time. You're not even timing yourself. Like, why do you need all that? It looks so dorky. Anyway, it was funny, and it was like a hand-me-down one. It was like, and it was not good colors. Like, it was bad. But I just thought
It was beige.
But I was more. Ew, that would be the worst. No, it was like way too bright. Like you're just like, but I thought that's safe at least. You
I'm
know?
aerodynamic and people can see me. It's like, yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, so I didn't like that. So I don't know if I would let him. I mean,
But he could get a sweet
him.
leather jacket if it's a motorcycle. He'd look cooler.
yeah, okay. Depends on what kind. I like the ones that have like stuff around. Not like the ones that are real like tiny. I want like a lot of material around. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a car. If they had a
What if
car
he promised
for
to
me,
wear a helmet
Yeah.
and he had body armor?
Yes. Then yes. I would
Okay.
let him.
Well, like, have you
I'm
seen
gonna-
those new?
I'm going to try to convince my wife of that too.
So there's a Japanese company that's making geriatric airbags.
Yes.
So that
I've
when,
seen that.
so that when the
I almost
elderly
showed you
fall
that.
over, it just goes poof, and it covers their body in airbag. Maybe that's what he needs. if
That's
he's
what he
gonna be,
needs.
Yeah.
Okay, I could
It's
do
fantastic.
that. Then. I could do that.
I can't
Okay.
believe you ran across that too.
Yeah.
I read.
Yeah,
I've never-
no, you didn't read it. You saw it. It's a video.
So it's like they're.
Yeah,
so
there's
it's not
a
in the
guy
car.
who tests.
Oh,
It's a
not
guy
in
who
the car.
tested out. It's on his clothing, and he falls over.
And everybody's like,
before he lands, there's a neck brace. There's like everything.
Ones that
that's
come
going-
around the sides of him. Yeah.
It's
well, okay,
awesome.
my plan is literally. This is terrible. I don't know if I should say this.
Do it.
Yeah, go for it.
To gain a lot of weight when I'm older, because I feel
Nice.
like it literally. Like the people that you hear that broke a hip,
It's
like they're all
padding.
skinny, they're all tiny, they're all frail. Like I'm
Yeah.
like, if I had some girth, like I feel like you fall and it's not gonna break.
Once
Like,
you get
that's-
your AARP card, that is like cheesecakes.
I know. It really is. Like I'm just like I think that's
Life's
the way
over.
I'm gonna
It's
go.
just time for
Dory, I
for
want you to
cheesecake.
know that we both had cheesecakes before we filmed,
Oh, good.
and I wanted to bring you one, and he said no.
Well, depriving.
You hadn't earned it yet.
I guess not. Okay. I'll see if I get one eventually.
You will.
All right. Last question.
Yes.
What item from your kids from their childhood do you regret purchasing for them?
Oh, I didn't buy them a lot of stuff. To be honest with you, we were hand-me-downs all the way. So they.
But there wasn't like a toy that they had that you hated
Oh
or
yes,
something
no
like that?
Furby.
Yeah.
Furby. Like, can anyone say Furby?
Oh.
They're the worst. Honestly, the most evil toy on the planet. I can't believe we got two of them, and so they talk to each other.
What?
They talk to each other. Did you
I've
know
heard
that?
that.
Oh, it's scary.
My sister was the only one of us that wanted a Furby.
Oh, I walked in the room and they're like talking to each other, and I was like, I was scared to throw them away. Like I was gonna be haunted by them. And we sold them at a yard sale one time, and the dad that bought them was so mad at me, and I was like, you're buying them? He's like, I know I'm buying them, but I'm already regretting it. And I'm like, I know, take them, like please, like
Oh, man.
buy one get one free. Like here you go. Like it was bad.
BOGO Furbies.
Yes.
Yikes. Mine was, I think my son's Iron Man.
What?
Because late at night,
Oh.
I would hear. It would just randomly start his
that's so creepy.
pulsar
Yes,
weapons
yes.
or whatever.
Repulsors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
repulsors. It'd start firing at 2 a.m.
No.
And it wasn't him. It was just the Iron Man just thought it was time.
No, that's so scary.
Yeah.
I get freaked out more than my kids get freaked out. I don't like.
Yeah, I'm not into that. I'm
No.
out.
It'll happen. There's going to be something.
One day
they're
you're
gonna
gonna
bring
have it.
Yeah, there's
gonna
definitely
bring
going to be
something
things that they don't
home.
want or that I don't want in the house, right? But
And then you'll drop it in the tub on accident.
while they're in it,
That's it.
Yes.
Well, no, it's just battery powered.
what's this toaster doing in the bathroom?
Here, play with this in the toy.
Yeah, Dory, thanks so much for coming on. Tell our audience where it is that they can find you on social media, and if they want to purchase the book, Hope Looks Good on You, where can they get it?
Awesome. All right. So Dorie Comedy is my handle on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then DorieComedy.com. And there's my book. There's 3 free chapters on there. And also my blog subscription for that. And also,
Wow.
I know, I just started that. I knew accidentally. But anyway.
You accidentally started a blog.
I did,
Here's
I did.
3,000 words that accidentally fell onto this page, and pictures and send.
No, I just sent one random picture to all of my followers on accident because I was trying to play with it and I forgot I set it up to alert everyone when I publish something. So
Nice.
I just thought, well, I guess I'm starting a blog now. So just went with it. And then on Amazon, if you just, I guess, search Hope Looks Good on You and see my face with a popsicle that's supposed to look like a microphone.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
I thought it was a bedazzled microphone from far off.
Oh, awesome. That was the intent.
And we'll have it in the show notes, by the way.
Yeah, all this stuff will be in the show notes. Remember, DorieComedy.com is DORIE.
Yes, not like the funny Dory.
Comedy is spelled the way that
The
it's
traditional way. KOMDY. Comedy. Make sure that you check it out. All the links to everything will be in the show notes. Thank you guys for watching The Reverend and the Reprobate. You guys have good and get give until next week.
So this is Dorie McLemore, and this is why you should never listen to The Reverend and the Reprobate, because they did not bring me cheesecake. So you shouldn't listen.